Good afternoon. Can you hear me? The signal is working. The signal is working. Can I start?
अगर आप चाहो तो लंच से पहले कर।
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can I start? Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Juan Bueno. I am a physician with master's degree in biomedical science. Currently, I am working in antimicrobial drug discovery. I want to talk I want to talk about building of drug discovery networks. With the use of translational science for research application. This is an important issue for discover new drugs and new medical devices. Why? Because it's the responsibility of those involved in biomedical research translate the scientific innovations for improve the health in the nations and the world. This is very important. Biomedical research must be translated for innovation, for transform, for become a new world. Translational medicine. Translational medicine is a term, actually, but is an enterprise. It's an enterprise with the purpose of to test in humans novel therapeutic strategies developed after experimentation. Novel therapeutic strategies and medical devices and medical procedures. But translational medicine have three issues, three important issues: basic research, translational research, and clinical research. The basic research, the biomedical research, have animal models, basic research in vitro and in vivo, and development of new compounds. And the clinical research is the integration in the basic research and the application in humans. But translational research is very important to the application in clinical research of basic research. The basic research in this moment is not applied in clinical research. This is a gap. The gap is known as the belly of death. Why? Because the belly of death is the failure of translation. It's a bridge of risks between discovery and patient, with science risks, funding risks, regulatory risks, intellectual property risks, and market risks. Because 5 pillars is very important to cross the belly of death. Currently, this gap is very difficult to cross. Why? Because there is a vicious cycle of discovery and development. Why? Basic research have predictive models very poorly. The clinical outcome is not predicted by the models, but the drug development and the drug screening strategies is failing. And the drug screening strategies have a massive cost for improved drugs. And these improved drugs have several problems for implemented. The basic research in clinical research. Because there is an incomplete understanding of human pathophysiology. What is the victim now? The patient. The patient is the victim because the basic research is not have the ability to cross the belly of death. Because the models is poorly predictive. Now, this translation gap, the belly of death, have several problems. Why? Because the research in health don't have physicians in this. Why? This is a chart that shows the following. This is the NI research project grant by the grade of principal investigator. You can see this that PhD have the more project grants, but physicians would be achieved as the lower. Why? Because this is the gap. The biomedical science is not have clinical research, and the biomedical discoveries is not have application. It's very difficult to apply the biomedical research, the biomedical discoveries without clinical researches. For that reason, R&D expenditure is higher, is rising, but the discovery of new entity is very low until 2006. That is a very problem. The value of that is a very problem in building of network discovery. In this chart, we can see the number of physicians dedicated to patient care, the majority, and dedicated to teaching and research. We can see the physician is dedicated to patient care, but not is dedicated to teaching and research. This is very trouble, it's a big problem for increase the discovery of new drugs on the application and biomedical devices and biomedical discoveries in the improve the health of the patient and the nations. For this reason, for this chart, I am dedicated to antimicrobial drug discovery, especially to in vitro antimicrobial drug discovery. We can see this. What is possible? 10,000 or 20,000 candidate drugs. With screening, with in vitro screening in step 1, just one arrive to the market. One drug from 10,000 and 20,000 candidate drugs. What happened here? There is a trouble with the optimization and discovery and screening. This is the problem. The problem not the clinical trials, the problem is the discovery and the screening. Because in this part, in this step, the chemists, microbiologists are working in this, but medical and the clinicians is not working here. It's not working here for select between 10,000 and 20,000 more candidates for one. But the trouble is the integration between three specific issues. First, research objects. What is the research object? What is the definition of the research object? Population, person, specimen, sample. What is the temporal stance? With integration, the research objects and temporal stance. Research objects and the temp for the development. What is? And the research domains. The research domain defines what is the disciplines involved in the translational medicine. But the integration of three issues, research objects, temporal stance, and research domains define the research issue, very important to the application of the discoveries in clinical. For that reason, it's necessary integrality. Integrality between what? Between basic science studies, which define the biological effects of therapeutics in humans. Investigations in humans, which define the biology of disease and provide the scientific foundation for development of new or improved therapy for human disease. And non-human or non-clinical studies conducted with the intent to advance therapies to the clinic or to develop principles for application of therapeutics to human disease. And for any clinical trial of a therapy that was initiated based on one of three phases, including toxicity and efficacy. This integrity of these 4 points is very important to the cross, to the jump, the value of death. But what happened Now, the basic science don't cross the belly of death until the patient. We have several studies, we have several data, we have huge papers, but this information don't cross the belly of death. Why? Because the physicians, because the clinical researchers is not integrated with the biomedical scientifics. What is the way for integrate that? This is a new tool for integrate that. The bioinformatics. The bioinformatics can to integrate the data of the molecules and cells, tissues and organs with population and individuals. The bioinformatics have the ability to integrate the biomedical researchers data with clinical outcome. It's very necessary to improve that because the information in biomedical researches is not crossed until the patients. The bioinformatics can be the important tool for develop this. And the integrality include the bioinformatic data obtained by exposome, clinical, multi-organ interactions, organ and tissue celloma, organelloma, metaboloma, proteome, transcriptome, epigenome, and genome. This data from these disciplines can be, no better, must be integrated with the clinical outcome into diseases defined by the public health problems. The nations, the countries, and the government must be study their public health problems for integrate in this model, for obtain biomedical data into cross the belly of the and to obtain the cure or the control for diseases. But in this integrality is important define the domain literature and knowledge collection. What is the domain literature? What is the data? What is the data? Focus to public health problems. Public health problems, listen that. Public health problems is the base of the research for integrate the biomedical research until the clinical research. In this definition of domain literature and knowledge collection is important three phases. Phase 1, identification of traditional research information management challenge. Phase 2, definition of conceptual framework for translational informatics. Bioinformatics is very important. Phase 3, definition of practical model for translational informatics project planning and execution. What is the data? What is the public health problem for to develop translational research, for obtain medical procedures, medical device, drugs, until find the thematic. The thematic findings is very important for define, because the synthesis of literature, framework, and model give the recommendations. The recommendation for to choose the issues, the topics, the aims and objectives of the translational research for solve public health problems in the nations. This is obligation of nations and governments. But this integrality need the knowledge integration. The integration of knowledge between several disciplines, several scientists, several researchers for integrate knowledge management, the management of knowledge, the synthesis of knowledge, and the translation knowledge. This knowledge integration has the ability to take the evidence-based recommendations until the practice, and achieve a population health impact. The population health impact is the more important. The population health impact is the aim of the basic and biomedical research, because the health of the population is our principal aim. For that reason, discoveries must be applied in clinical application, integrating knowledge, but needs association. But in an association between several researchers, the researchers have to associate into the public health problem. This is a very interesting research in behavior on psychology for innovation, published in Science in this May, in which take the rice crops and the wheat crops. The scientists discovered that the rice crops and the farmers which use rice crops are very collectivity. More the wheat. For science is necessary a collectivity answer. A collectivity answer for association, not a individualistic answer. It's not important this. For translational research. For translational research is important the collectivity's answer, because in the collectivity answer the researchers are associated for improve the public health of the population. It's very important this, because the association between the researchers can introduce the basic science, the animal studies, the preclinical studies, translate to the human clinical research, and translate this human clinical research to clinical practice, and translate this, the practice based in the research, improve the public health problems. We have several public health problems and need researchers compromise with this. And for improve the impact in the population is necessary comfort the team, the scientific team, a scientific team that have to be multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary, and need an structure and leading for improve the public health problems, and obtain a measure and evaluation of the team science into the impact. The impact is the measure of the team science, the impact in health, the impact in innovation, the impact of development and drugs, the impact of development and medical devices, the impact of development and medical procedures. This is the measure of the team science. The team science have designed for to improve, for to impact, and for to translate the biomedical research until clinical research. This team science has to be multidisciplinary, involve several disciplines, microbiologists, pharmacologists, biochemists, clinical researchers, and to be interdisciplinary for the dialogue and exchange between the knowledge, between the disciplines. This is the interdisciplinarity. But this dialogue and exchange have the ability of to be interdependence, and respect the knowledge of each member of the team science, and have reciprocity, because the reciprocity improve the knowledge and their application. It's very important to be multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary in the team science for to apply, for to improve, for to impact. It's necessary to translate the knowledge. And this is a road of two ways. The interdisciplinarity is the bridge between multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary concepts because it's necessary the integration complementarity of the researchers. Because this complementation and integration of researchers improve the knowledge, and improve the knowledge can do improve the translational research. I work in antimicrobial drug discovery. The samples I will show will be in this way. Antimicrobial drug discovery, because this is a big trouble. This is a public health problem currently. Not only in Colombia, not only in the world, only in all is a global problem. A global problem without solutions. This is the survival in the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 clinical trials of the antibiotics. We can see this, that the antibiotics have the more percent of survival in the clinical trials. The development of new drugs, of new antimicrobial drugs, have more success than the other drugs. What happened? The lack of the translational research don't improve in the policies. This is very important. The translational research has the ability of improve and impact in the policies of the nations, and have the ability of take decisions in public health. Why? Because in antimicrobial drug discovery, the discovery and clinical development have a several problems. Yes, the rational use. The antibiotics without rational use becomes resistant microorganisms. This is a very trouble. Now we are in the golden age. Yes, the golden age of the antimicrobial resistance. Because the microorganism is very resistant to antibiotics. But we had several problems with tuberculosis, with methicillin, Staphylococcus aureus, Enterococcus fecalis, and fungus. The rational use is the very trouble of the antimicrobial drug discovery. Why? Because the antimicrobial drug discovery have a high impact in the environment. We can see this. The antibiotics not just impact in the hospital and community, impact in pets, animal products, producers, environment, treatment plants, farm animals, veterinary, and agriculture antibiotics. Antibiotics have a high environmental impact. In translational research, it's very important to take into account this, the environmental impact of antibiotics. Now, we have in a perfect storm. Why? Because the pharmaceutical research is not looking for new antibiotics. This is the research in antibiotics for pharmaceutical companies. We can see that this is the research in new antibiotics for the pharmaceutical industry, and this is the increasing of the antimicrobial resistance. We can see the research is lower, but the resistance is higher. This is a big trouble. But there is examples of the translational research in drug discovery. This is a new example from NITE. NITE is a multi-university partnership supporting academic drug development. It's a public initiative. It's a public initiative of several universities together for improve the drug discovery. Currently is the University of Minnesota, Purdue University, and University of Iowa in integration. In integration for lead optimization, University of Minnesota, preclinical development, Purdue University and Minnesota University, and clinical supply manufacture, University of Iowa, Minnesota University, and Maryland University, with other partners, University of Duquesne, Connecticut, Michigan, Kansas, etc. This is a very important example of the government initiatives, of the public initiative for improved the drug discovery. The union of several universities with several scientists, with several researchers, with several disciplines for improve the translation of biomedical research to clinical research, for improve drugs, medical devices, medical procedures. It's very important. In medicine, in clinical medicine, is very important. These three rules, I named that, the three rules. Drugs, clinical procedures, clinical device. This is the necessary for improve the public health. And have a connection with industry. This is the connection that they needed with FDA and the other enterprises in the industry. It's very important, the connection with the industry, for develop new drugs, for improve, for translate the biomedical research to the clinical research. But we have challenge. I introduce this challenge because we are in mega biodiversity country. Colombia is one biodiverse country. China, Malaysia, India have biodiverse country. But the country with biodiversity have to introduce other issue. The introduction of the natural products in the drug discovery. It's very important that because these source must to be integrated in the translational research. The ethnopharmacological research is here. The ethnomedicine, the ethnobiology, it must be to introduce in this for translational research of biomedical research and clinical research. Natural products is very important because the chemical diversity of the natural products is not renewable. We have other examples. This is an example of iodation of bioactive compounds. This is of Korea University, and extraction and studies of bioactive compounds for discover bioactive effects no more, but not have the translation. Several countries have the discovery of bioactive effects, but not the translation until clinical. It's very important to include that in the research. And we have other challenge. This is the new challenge. They introduce the natural products in the drug discovery, the translation of the clinical research, but so the use of the new formulations. For example, nanotechnology. What is the translation for to do this? For to take the biomedical research in natural products in antimicrobial drug discovery in formulations of nanotechnology formulation and the clinical research. This is very important to take in account because it's a new technology for improved health, for improved treatment, for improved the clinical outcome. Finally, I take this phrase of the Mohandas Karashmat Gandhi. This phrase describes the innovation. Every moment of your life is infinitely creative, and the universe is endless bountiful. Just put forth a clear enough request, and everything your heart desires must come to you. Is the best phrase to describe the innovation. You must define what is the public health problem for to improve. Thank you very much for your attention. Any questions? Is there any questions in the public? Well, oh, well, thank you very much for invite me to this conference. It's very important to me to share this knowledge with other partners and other countries. Thank you very much.